Alright, Shalom. Before I start, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakha of honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, peace, blessings, and salutations to all the elect Akim wa Akwath, learning, teaching, and truth and sincerity. Another video through the Spirit, your brother Malak from GMS Detroit. Hey, another lesson. This is going to be modern day Madness Prophecies. Just got a bunch of clips of the silly, crazy shit going on in the world. You know, just more signs that we're getting closer to the end. Not getting closer, you know, we're damn near there, y'all. Just crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier things happen on a daily basis, and it's not sustainable. Hence, this empire is reaching its doomed conclusion. Let me start with which one did I want to start with? I wanted to start with, okay, yeah, let's start with Candace. Actually, where was that? What was it? You had the floods and what else? Did I save the clip? Yeah, okay. Actually, yeah, excuse me. I wanted to reach back and mention those floods. Now, we have those floods that just happened in Texas. You know, a lot of people finding themselves deceased. You know, they had to go bubble at the wrath of the Lord, right? Bubble. Boys couldn't breathe. Give me 1 second. Start this damn car. Right here, Texas flood. Deaths in Texas flood. Alright, I'm gonna knock the volume, but you know why do these things happen? Why do natural disasters happen in the world? What do the scriptures say? Because you know, you'll have somebody, well, why would God do this? Why? Well, what do the scriptures say? Why do these horrific events happen that take people's lives? And you know, it says 104 people dead, displaced people, and cause such havoc and chaos. Why do these things happen? I'm gonna just keep letting it play right there. What do the scriptures say? Sirach 39, baby. Sirach 39. I want to start at 28, right? It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hell and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. These tools of vengeance happen to punish the wicked. So those caught up in these judgments, they're not innocent, whether they be a little beautiful white baby. And ain't no white baby beautiful, goddammit. Edomite baby, right? Whether they be a innocent mailman, right? Some young aspiring athlete. That Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai doesn't give a fuck about any of that. These things happen in the world because of the wickedness that is going on down here in the earth. Sirach 40:8. Such things happen unto all flesh, both man and beast, and that is sevenfold more upon sinners. Death and bloodshed, strife and sword, calamities, famine, tribulation, and the scourge. These things are created for the wicked, and for their sakes came the flood. These wild events are happening in the earth to punish the wicked for their wickedness. Vengeance. Man spotted in Texas floodwaters. This ain't no joke, y'all. Now we know the world isn't going to be utterly flooded again. What we're waiting on is that great fire to come. But the Heavenly Father didn't say He won't kill some people with the flood. He said He won't kill all the world, but He didn't say some. So let's go back, and I wanna take this too. So you have that going on, and then you have more uproars of the people, especially between Northern Kingdom and Esau over there in Mexico specifically. Let me get this.
We're in Mexico tearing white people's asses up right now. Did y'all know they over in Mexico tearing white people's asses up right now? If you don't believe me, you can go look it up. But the Mexicans that are in Mexico are literally coming after people who are claiming to be.
Actually, y'all, I had a coworker enlighten me to this. Jake, he got to talking to about this, and I was like, oh word, go look into it. Hey, y'all are, Esau Edom is dogging Northern Kingdom, deporting them. Well, now Northern Kingdom wants to kick out the Edomites who are in Mexico. And what should that remind you of? Do you remember the Forever Purge, y'all? The premise of the movie was the fact that, America was entering a state of continual purging. And you had Mexico close its borders to stop Americans from running there. And we're literally saying, man, art imitates life, if you will.
Nomads. All those boomers who have now retired and are looking for a cheaper place to live with their retirement. They decided to go to Mexico and try to gentrify Mexico. And they said, no sir, no ma'am. The Mexican people are going through their cities where they've built all these places of shops and restaurants, and they are breaking everything. They are blaming this boomer generation and these digital nomads for the reasons why the price of living is going up. They say that over the last 5 years, just rent alone has gone up 43% because of them. They said that because of them, they are now having to choose between groceries, rent, and electricity. And they didn't waste no time telling them, get the fuck out. They even said they was coming on their beaches telling them that their mariachi bands can't play their music. The nerve. That's a cultural thing that's been going on there forever. Why would you think you get to go to someone else's country and tell them what to do? There was even one of the protesters who was quoted stating, this is how colonialism works, and we're gonna put a stop to it before it ever even happens, honey. And they don't look like they're joking around, busting windows straight out, honey.
So, good. It's ultimately just going to lead up to, the all-out planetary chaos that has to come. Because, hey, Esau Edom is a plague in the earth, y'all. And that's why, hey, you got to root that nigga out before he spreads. And that's what they're trying to do. Now they're not necessarily going to be... Issachar isn't going to be the saviors of the world. Yahweh Shai is. But, you see that vengeance. You see that spirit kicking back up. And that's why, hey, what does this say in Isaiah, man? You let one Edomite in, it's over. Motherfuckers start replicating and taking over. Isaiah 14 and what was that, 22? 21. It says, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. You do not let them show up and take and overcome, because they will. And you know what I meant to we'll tie this in here too. Another thing, y'all, and this is you have a situation unfolding in Philly, right? Trash not being picked up. And this is something that, see, y'all, when Hollywood and movies have done a really bad job of showing you how bad a societal collapse truly is. It's nothing like the video games. It's nothing like the movies, y'all. Something as simple as people not coming to pick up the trash literally will make the whole city smell so bad you'll want to kill yourself, and it can make certain roads impassable. When this shit really goes down, y'all, we're truly going to need Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. We're about to experience something like never before in this earth. No movie, no video game can properly prepare you for this. We need Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Let's go.
Philadelphia.
Will be.
Let me see. Give me 1 second. Let me, yep, okay.
If you live in Philadelphia. if you live in Philadelphia.
Will be no residential trash collection or recycling until further notice.
All right, here we have a trash update from Philadelphia.
There's
This is
just
just
gonna be trash
18th and
everywhere.
Christian. One single day.
Shout out to Iron Man. I think he's out there.
This entire strike that's happening in Philly right now is all over like a $60 a week disagreement, because right now the average member in DC 33, that's the union on strike, they make about $46,000 a year. Mayor Parker offered a 3% raise every single year for the next 3 years, but the union doesn't want 3%, they want 5%. Now, in terms of a yearly salary, Mayor Parker is proposing that they make $50K a year, the union wants $53K a year. Now, that $3K difference, roughly $60 a week. So that is why the trash is piling up everywhere in the city now, over $60 a week.
If you live in Philadelphia.
Think about that, y'all. Esau Edom is such a greedy, grimy motherfucker. He won't let you get 60 more bucks a week. So he'll let the city go to shit. That's how much of a demon he is, and which we don't give a fuck either way, right? But you see, it's literally, and that, $50,000, what is that? I believe that's $1,000 a week before taxes. So realistically, if you don't have children, you'll probably be getting about $730 after taxes, depending on your state, right? That's not crazy wages. It's livable. You can survive, right? You're not gonna have the best car. You're not gonna have the best living, but you can get you somewhere to live off that type of money. But they don't even want to allow people to have the bare minimum. Why? Because they're Esau Edom, the elites, the hierarchy, and the government, they're on purpose demons, as the good brother Mike Allah out of LA likes to say. That's where I get that term from. They're on purpose demons. They're intentionally being assholes on purpose, knowing that it's going to have a detrimental effect. And this is just one more of the signs that we're at the end times. You have it. The commoners are at complete war with the higher ups in every level. A society like that will collapse. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. This shit will happen. It is happening. And all we're waiting on is for bodies to start hitting the floor, because that's what's coming next soon. We're just waiting on a couple more things. Second Edge 15, I want to get you know what, I'll stay in this lane for a second. Let me get where should I start? I'll start right at 16. Yep. It says, for there shall be sedition among men, rebellion, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. I'm grabbing this one to highlight the fact that they shall not regard their kings and princes. That union is refusing to do their duty, rebelling against the authority, which is causing that problem in the city. And we know soon that this is ultimately so much of this is gonna happen from so many different angles. It's gonna result in martial law. Everybody is going to say, you know what? We don't give a care. We don't give a damn about the laws. We don't give a damn about potentially going to jail. We're going to do what we want to do and what we think we need to do to survive. When you have everybody in a city, in a state, in a region, in a county doing that, you have absolute anarchy. That is what and where we are headed to. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Literally, martial law is coming. They're going to have to lock things down because of the open sedition in the cities, the open rebellion. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and the men shall be afraid. I'll just stop there. They're just highlighting the point that what I mainly wanted, the sedition, y'all. The little things like that. You weren't in 50s America at his perfect pinnacle, you didn't have, you know, people doing shit like that because Esau, Edom, even some of the lower end ones, they were living good, right? You could be working your 40 hours a week and have your white picket fence, white wife, car, all that bullshit with the 2.5 kids and the golden retriever, or white picket fence, the ideal Edomite America. Well, that era is gone and it's over. It's never fucking coming back. All right, so let's get the next clips. Let's get a little bit of. It's funny, you know, she talks about it. She can have a TV show. It's wide open in the air. If we talk about it, we get our shit stripped and taken down. But let's let it go.
But now we're going to go back in time, and I'm going to ask you who you think did each of these huge events, okay? The killing of MLK Jr.
That was a CI operation because they considered him a dangerous communist. And the FBI was bugging in churches where he was giving some of his speeches in churches. They were bugging the podiums and following him around. He was a top target for elimination.
JFK.
I think that was a CI hit, and they may have employed some mafia connections to carry it out because that was their mafia assassination program.
Exactly. LBJ was very involved in all that in Dallas. And so
he was an evil man.
He was an evil man. Okay, what about Pearl Harbor?
They knew the attack was coming. They knew where it was going to happen in Pearl Harbor and when. And they told no one, and they let it happen on purpose. That's from the commander of the Pacific Fleet. I would say that's a pretty credible witness. So yeah, that was a false flag.
They've admitted that. They admitted they heard it was going to happen, and you know, how else were you going to get Americans to be on the side of this war? That had nothing to do with us. Which brings us to 9/11. Your opinion?
My opinion, as a criminal investigator, as a former CI officer, 9/11 was not the act of a bunch of poorly flight-trained terrorists that executed an unbelievably meticulous piloting of those aircraft. Even pilots, there's pilots for 9/11 Truth now, and they say we could not have done that. Not possible. And then we go to the passport issue, and we go to the Tower 7, which was a controlled demolition.
Obviously.
You talk to any structural engineer, and I have. And the fact, I think George W. Bush blacked out, I think it was 40 pages of the 9/11 report dealing with Saudi Arabia. So wait a minute, this report was supposed to be for the American people on what happened, and you blacked all these pages out? What in the world? I do not think that it was a bunch of poorly trained or untrained terrorists that did it. I think there was another source behind it. I think it was intentional. And I'm going just from a criminal investigative perspective, just looking at the evidence, what evidence we have, that was an intentional act. And it would fall right into the MO that you and I are talking about. Horrible event, because human life does not matter to the shadow government deep state, or especially the CIA. It does not matter. Their pawns on their chessboard. They don't care that 3,000 people were horribly killed that day, but it achieved the aim of gutting the U.S. Constitution, bringing in the horrific Patriot Act, giving the CIA unthinkable authority for secret prisons and torture beyond waterboarding and secret renditions and all of that. The FBI, the ability to spy on Americans, came out of the Patriot Act. So it was the perfect national security state energizer that the Patriot Act was, and 70 of the congressmen and senators that read the Patriot Act didn't even read it. They just signed off on it without even reading the bill. So
that was a mouthful, y'all. That was a mouthful, and he said a lot. Whistleblowers. Esau, Edom, hey, come on, man. Come on, man. Let's get that. Obadiah. This man has been sought out, y'all. Obadiah 1 and 6 is the main point. I'd start right at it, shit. Obadiah 1 and 6, it says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? The things that Esau Edom has done in the shadows and in the secret and in the dark have come to light here. And with this modern day technology, you know, this information is readily available now. There's no reason to be ignorant. His own people are telling you that these were inside agency operations. People, you had young Americans go over to the Middle East, which there is no such thing as the Middle East, and die in these worthless battles for the interest of the shadow elite, like Homie said. They've knocked off presidents. They've knocked off so-called civil rights leaders. These people are a sick group of people, but they're being found out. So with this information, what are you going to do? Are you going to put your head back in the sand, or are you going to acknowledge it? And what I wanted to do off of that, you look up the thing. It's called the PNAC, the Project for the New American Century. And now, what is this? This says a think tank. It was more than a think tank, based in Washington, D.C., that focused on the United States foreign policy. What foreign policy, y'all? What foreign policy? Over in the East. It says it was established as a nonprofit educational organization in 1997 and founded by William Kishraw and Robert Kagan. PNAC's stated goal was to promote American global leadership. The organization stated that American leadership is good for both America and for the world. Wow. It says, and sought to build support for a Reaganite policy of military strength and moral clarity. And of course, this is the official wiki version, right? These people have been plotting to get over there to the east, right? For very different reasons, right? They want Ishmael's oil, this and that. We know that this was a plot and this was a play. They allowed their own land they set up a plot for their own land to be attacked, to frame it on Ishmael, to have excuse to invade. Straight up, straight down. This was actually, I just got it recorded in my notes, but this was from, it says what, Bill Clinton, Donald Rumsfeld, Dick Cheney, and Paul Wolfowitz. They had stated, it says U.S. needed to remove Saddam, talking about Saddam Hussein. It says some catastrophic and catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor. And what was that event, y'all? What was that event? 9/11. As a matter of fact, let me go get that one. Oh, is this it right here? Yep. I'm pretty sure I saved this website. Yeah, I did. Yep. Were 1998 memos a blueprint for war? The answer to that is yes, y'all. It says March 10th. Now, this article that we're reading comes back from 2006. And it's still on the internet. March 10th, 2003, years before George W. Bush entered the White House, and years before the September 11th attacks set the direction of his presidency, a group of influential neoconservative hatched a plan to get Saddam Hussein out of power. And so remember, y'all, this organization was founded in 97. And I'm not saying that this organization solely alone was responsible for what happened that day, but this is literally, y'all, these people wanted to get over there and they needed an excuse. And that's why that event happened that day. This is how Esau Edom gets down. Witchcraft, trickery, sorcery. Right? It says in open letters, Clinton and GOP congressional leaders the next year, it says the group called for removal of Saddam Hussein's regime from power. That was the goal, right? And the quote that I just mentioned, y'all, they said this shit in 2000. In a report just before the 2000 election that would bring Bush to power, the group predicted that the shift would come about slowly unless there were some catastrophic catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor. That event came Sept 11, 2001. How convenient, y'all. How fucking convenient, man. Hey, look, if you don't want to wake up, then stay asleep. This man has been sought out, y'all, by way of this internet. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai has given us the ability to tap into these things and to look into these things, y'all. Come on, man. Let me get one more. This is how this guy deals. He doesn't deal fair. He doesn't deal square. He's a liar and a demon.
You studied your history, and you did not take over this country by singing "We Shall Overcome." You did not gain control of the world like you have it now by dealing fairly with a man and keeping your word. You're treaty breakers, you're liars, you're thieves, you rape entire continents and races of people. Then you wonder why these very people don't have any confidence or trust in you. Your religion means nothing. Your law is a farce, and we see it every day. You demonstrated it in Alabama. And I can say you because you're part of the whole system. You profit from it. In fact, you make your living from it.
He said, yes, I know.
You couldn't walk around and talk to people, stand up in your pulpit on Sunday and preach nice little songs and say, now we're going to give thanks to the Lord for he is good and old Jesus be among us. As far as we're concerned, your Jesus is contaminated, just like everything else you tried to force upon us is contaminated. You study.
Brother broke it down while giving a fade. While cutting a haircut, man, y'all. You don't trust this guy. So, hey, I'll end with that, man. Hey, all these things going on in the world, they're necessary evils that have to happen before this man's empire fall. And in the meantime, while we waiting, don't you trust this nigga, all right? Sirach 12:10, never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Come on now. Esau Edom, he's showing his horns. Don't ignore him, all right? Hey, I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakurash, to honors the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, peace, blessings, and salutations to all the elect Akim, Wa Akwath, learning, teaching, and truth and sincerity. Shalom.